the retail distribution review, which is currently taking place, effectively creates that environment, because the only way that banks will be able to provide advice on structured investment products is through the payment of an upfront fee rather than a tail commission, which I think should, at face value, argue for impartiality and best product and best judgment. It is interesting how the industry has responded to that, in terms of the fact that this is a very expensive model and it involves training people and so on and so forth. So actually we'll direct this particular product suite at a very narrow part of the audience. And actually, if you want structured investment products and you're not in that particular segment, then most banks are opting for the online sort of go and buy a tin of baked beans, and if you get food poisoning, it's kind of your problem approach. So in other words, I think it's a good example of where a sensible piece of regulation interpreted in an interesting way has probably led to the outcome that nobody really wanted, which is effectively those types of products, and everyone's got a view as to whether they're good products or bad products, will increasingly end up being advised and sold to a very small percentage of the UK population, and the only other way for people to access it will be online. So I think you have to, when you're understanding your customers, you have to think about how they want to transact with you. You can't force them to transact with you through X or Y. You have to be able to give them options on how they can deal with you. And I'm perfectly comfortable with the fact that lots of my customers will want to sit at their kitchen table, be they individuals or small businesses, and transact online. And do their banking online, make payments online, buy products online, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. It's a very different dimension in terms of a sales process, but it's the way that lots of people want to deal with. Other people want to come into a bricks and mortar environment and have a conversation because they find that a reassuring way as well. I guess going forward, the bit that I think might get squeezed is the telephony operation, because I think people will opt between online or people, and probably don't want to do it over the phone. But I might be wrong. But I think you have to be able to offer people access to products in an online environment and in a bricks and mortar environment as well.
I was just going to, had a meeting with, it was a meeting of directors for one of the banks recently, and it was interesting, the conversation about the rapid increase in online, particularly servicing rather than sales. But what was interesting, what they were saying, was that the branch footfall had grown significantly. And obviously online growing significantly, and what was happening was that the calls into the call centres were falling off very rapidly, and it would be quite interesting, wouldn't it, after all these years of saying kind of the branch is dead, that actually the first channel to die is actually the call centre.